Welcome to the channel where we dissect timeless knowledge and useful tactics to assist you in becoming an expert in mentality, your communication, and eventually your relationships. Today, we're going to explore a subject that will undoubtedly make you reevaluate your views on attraction and engagement in a society where everyone is vying for attention. Men of great value stand out by doing the opposite. They know when and how to back off. However, this isn't about playing games or playing with emotions. Rather, it's about learning the art of presence and absence and how to communicate effectively by knowing when to speak and, more importantly, when to hold back. In this video, we'll look at how high-value men use self-control and self-mastery principles to not only communicate effectively, but also to stick in her mind long after the conversation is over, from subtle strategies to timeless Stoic insights. Let's explore the attitude of a high-value man and see how this approach changes the way you talk to women, generates curiosity, and develops genuine attraction. You'll learn how to ignore a lady like a pro, not out of indifference, but out of confidence and purpose. You won't want to miss this after you become an expert communicator, especially if you're a high-value man. Today, we'll examine how Stoic ideals may direct your encounters with women, making you unforgettable while upholding your integrity and sense of purpose. You uncover a potent technique to connect with others and make a lasting impact. Lesson 1. The influence of intentional speech. A high-value man conducts conversation with clarity, intention, and an emphasis on the present. High-value communication starts with knowing why you speak, because Stoic words were instruments to communicate truth rather than to control or impress. Here's how to put this idea into practice. Make sure your words reflect your values when you talk with purpose. A high-value man talks to foster understanding and connections rather than merely to fill quiet. Rather than posing cliched inquiries like, "What's up? I was thinking about something you mentioned the other day, and what's your take on it?" Lesson 2 now involves two practice questions. Engage in active listening. Women find that listening is one of the most appealing traits since it demonstrates respect and fosters trust. Keep in mind that guys who make them feel heard concentrate on what she is saying without planning your response for when she is done. Take a moment to process what she said before answering, for instance. If she shares an issue, thoughtfully answer, because it seems like you've been thinking about it for some time. How have you been managing it? 3. Don't talk directly or look for approval. The importance of restraint was emphasized by Stoics. Avoid giving too many praises or over-elaborating on your ideas. For example, rather of saying, "I really liked your idea. It was amazing, and I think it's so creative." A man allows his confidence and actions speak for him. To put it simply, your concept was so great that it made leaving room for mystery a high priority. Man is aware that not everything must be expressed. Too much sharing too soon can cause dilution. Intrigue Stoic restraint helps us to use words carefully so that curiosity might develop organically. For instance, when she inquires about your day, don't go into too much detail. Instead, state that it was productive. When we have more time, I'll tell you more about a fantastic project I'm working on. Empathy and boldness should be balanced. Being aggressive does not imply having a high regard for others. Men clearly express their desires while taking into account the feelings of others. For instance, rephrase it so that I feel better when we tackle it this manner, rather than stating I don't like when you do that. What are your thoughts? Lesson 2. Mastering emotional presence to stick in someone's mind. A high-value man doesn't just rely on words. He masters the art of emotional presence. Purposeful speech is about making meaningful connections without losing your sense of self. Every word you say should reflect who you are and what you stand for, leaving a lasting impression without trying too hard. Stoicism encourages us to put aside our worries and distractions in order to be fully present in the moment. Most individuals listen to respond rather than comprehend a high value, which is why women are drawn to men who can fully interact with them, fostering an emotional connection and a sense of safety. A man puts his phone away, keeps eye contact, and remains attentive during the talk, for example. When she shares her thoughts, you should react with interest. It's fascinating to hear what made you feel that way. 2. Regulate your feelings. Stoicism places a great importance on emotional control. Even when arguing, for instance, a man maintains his composure and doesn't let his emotions or feelings of insecurity to control how he interacts with others. When a conversation gets heated, instead of responding right away, pause and say, let me consider that for a moment. I want to make sure I respond thoughtfully. 3/3 lesson mirror good energy builds when someone's pleasant feelings are reflected in the mirror. Rapport observes her energy and tone and gently matches it to establish a sense of alignment. For instance, if she's enthusiastic about anything, join her. That sounds fantastic. You seem to be quite passionate about this, as evidenced by your sincere empathy. Empathy is more than just listening. It also involves confirming her emotions and demonstrating comprehension without passing judgment. This builds rapport and helps you stand out, for instance. If she complains about her job, don't fix the issue right away. Instead, acknowledge that it seems frustrating. How do you typically handle circumstances like these 5 show patients? Hurried interactions seem shallow. Sometimes women notice and value this attentiveness. Example, when you take the time to allow conversations flow organically, even if it means sitting in silence. It demonstrates that you are at ease with quiet and confident in the present when you allow her to determine when to continue a conversation that pauses. This helps to establish emotional safety. She feels emotionally safe when she can be herself without worrying about criticism or mockery, which results from your example of openness and consistency. If she tells me a vulnerable story, reply with encouragement and gratitude for sharing it with me. Emotional presence is about establishing an environment where someone feels appreciated and understood. By becoming proficient in this technique, you can make every encounter memorable and powerful, leaving her thinking about you long after the conversation is over. Lesson 3. Confidence through self-mastery. High-worth men command attention by their sense of self-assurance, which comes from controlling their own ideas, feelings, and behaviors, rather than from seeking approval from others. Self-control is the foundation of true power, according to Stoicism, and this idea directly affects how you interact with women. Recognize your worth. Knowing your value is the first step towards having confidence. A high-worth man acts from a place of self-respect, for instance, rather than seeking praise from others. Steer clear of expressions like, "Do you think I'm good enough for this?" and instead say, "I'm confident in my ability to handle this too." Lesson 4. Communicate directly and clearly. Women value this. Having clarity and being decisive instead of saying, "I think it would be nice if we could maybe hang out sometime." Stoics valued simplicity and truth in communication. For instance, "I'd like to spend time with you this weekend. Let's make it happen." 3. Don't be afraid of rejection. A high-value guy concentrates on his efforts and mindset, for instance, because Stoicism teaches that external consequences are beyond our control. If she says no to an invitation, reply with grace. No issue at all. Keep your cool and let me know if you decide to alter your mind. Confidence is frequently put to the test during arguments or awkward situations. Maintaining composure shows your strength, for instance. Avoid becoming offended if she criticizes you. Instead say, "I understand your viewpoint. Let me consider those 5 projects." Genuine assurance. Genuine confidence originates from being genuine, rather than boasting or making an effort to impress. For instance, women are attracted to men who are at ease with who they are. Talk about your interests and passions without going overboard. For example, if you enjoy reading philosophy, you may mention that you find Stoicism fascinating since it has helped you deal with life's obstacles and avoid being clingy. High-value men provide space in relationships, fostering a sense of independence and mutual respect. As an example, needy behavior is a result of insecurity. Be humble and let her come to you, rather than texting her all the time to reassure you that she values you. Being confident does not equate to being arrogant. An example of a man who acknowledges his talents while being receptive to learning and development. Let your actions speak louder than your words. Stoics thought that ideals should be demonstrated by deeds rather than just words. Thus, if she provides knowledge about something you're not familiar with, remark, "That's intriguing. I didn't know that. Tell me more." The best way to show confidence is to take care of yourself and treat other people. For instance, show her your work ethic rather than just your accomplishments. Having calm, unshakable confidence is more important than being loud or pushy. Kindness and honesty in action, self-confidence by self-control, and sincere dialogue, you won't ever have to ask for permission to make an impact. That lasts. Lesson 4. Fostering emotional depth by being vulnerable a high worth. Because he recognizes that vulnerability is a strength rather than a weakness, men are not scared to display it. Stoicism places a strong emphasis on self-awareness and having the guts to face one's feelings head-on when done so in an appropriate manner. Susceptibility encourages closeness, trust, and emotional ties, which makes you unforgettable. One comprehends the equilibrium of susceptibility. Vulnerability does not imply excessive sharing or sympathy seeking. It involves expressing feelings in a way that demonstrates strength and self-awareness, for instance. Reframe it so that I've been thinking about some challenging situations lately, and it's been a learning experience for me to share your values and ideas, rather than stating I feel so lost and don't know what to do. Men who have strong morals and aren't hesitant to express them strike a profound chord with women. For instance, Stoicism promotes acting in accordance with your values. Discuss your priorities in Lesson 5. Express your principles and opinions. I've always valued being loyal to my word, so that's one thing I really focus. We also discuss problems and growth. Sharing your success stories humanizes you and makes you an approachable role model. It also demonstrates resilience and depth. I wasn't always comfortable speaking out in front of groups, but I've come to realize that being prepared and composed really helps. 4. When someone confides in you, listen to them without passing judgment and react empathetically without attempting to solve their issues right away. This provides an example of emotional safety. It means a lot that you would share it 5 times, so if she shares a personal story, thank you for your trust. Choose carefully what you disclose, even though vulnerability can be quite effective. Too much information shared too quickly can overwhelm or feel like a forced conversation. As an example, pace your disclosures naturally. If the topic of previous relationships comes up, concentrate on the lessons learned. Learned instead of unsolved problems. One thing I discovered is how crucial mutual respect and communication are. Demonstrating gratitude and appreciation by recognizing the qualities you value in others, such as her, demonstrates emotional intelligence and sincerity. I truly respect the way you handled that circumstance. It demonstrates a great deal of strength, even being at ease in emotionally charged situations. Many guys steer clear of sensitive subjects, but a high-value man demonstrates maturity and emotional depth by embracing them with poise and talking about feelings. If she shares her aspirations or worries, encourage her by saying, "That's a bold dream, and I admire your courage in pursuing it." 8. Don't be afraid to come across as weak. Real power arises from confronting your feelings head-on. For instance, when you are vulnerable, you are displaying confidence in your identity. I had a lot of self-doubt at one point, but I've tried to develop a more resilient mindset. The road has been worthwhile. 9. Use vulnerability to establish trust. When both parties feel comfortable being honest and open, you invite her to follow your lead. Vulnerability is a cornerstone of relationships, and I genuinely respect honesty even when it's difficult to communicate. Stone of emotional connection. By embracing and sharing your feelings honestly, you show that you are strong, self-aware, and capable of building enduring, meaningful relationships. Thank you for viewing, and please remember to hit the notification and like and subscribe. For further videos on Stoic relationships and personal development, click bell. Please share your ideas in the space provided below, and check back soon for other tips on improving your life and relationship.